what the power of the NETSCOUT, thinking on this complex world and getting complex with, because the cloud, because the user behavior, because the complex of the system, because the complex of cyber, the society, what NETSCOUT could use as better to protect the most of the clients that has abroad of the world.
Yeah, what's a special app?
Yeah, the ace up on the sleeve. Yeah.
Well, I was hoping you'd wait at least 20 more minutes before you ask that
Yeah.
question. You want to start with that first, okay? So there are many, but I think before we go into that, and I promise I will answer the question. But before I go into that, I do want to say something that's kind of important. What leads to the secret sauce? Okay. So the secret sauce, I would say, is visibility, right? But we'll get to, and how we do the visibility and what we do specifically when we say visibility is different. I guess if I had to put it in 2 words, I would say actionable visibility. Okay. But those 2 words have a lot of history behind it, and there's a lot behind it that happens. Okay. But let me put it this way. Why is the bigger question that I think I want to answer most, which is, why does it even matter, right? Because everybody offers visibility. There are a million tools and cybersecurity tools out there, and yet we have a problem as an industry, do we not? I mean, you look at the latest reports, the cost of a breach is up by, let me check, 10% over the last year. It's now roughly $5 million. Off the top of my head, I'm trying to think all these stats here. Over 8 months to identify and contain a breach. Over 9 months if it's a malicious insider, okay? And 180% increase in the exploitation of vulnerabilities, right? And by the way, now we have custom malware for edge devices. And as part of the espionage operations, I'm sure you've heard, bold move. By the way, if you haven't, research it, right? Custom malware for edge devices, custom malware for hypervisors. We're living in a scary world.
Yeah.
Even with 1 million security tools out there, right? So the why is pretty important, right? And when I talk with customers, right, we talk about, oftentimes, like, we work very closely with financial verticals, like with the healthcare, because they obviously have high risk. I mean, prior to the podcast, we were starting to talk about this a little bit. That secret sauce becomes extremely important because you cannot protect, as a security organization, your assets in which you don't have visibility into. I think one of the number one problems that organizations have is they don't even know, they don't have a good sense of all the assets their organization owns that they need to protect in the first place. Imagine, it's like saying, oh, you are responsible for protecting my property. Oh, and by the way, I'm not going to tell you how many houses I have. Good luck.
How many doors? How many windows?
How many doors? How many windows?
Where?
Yeah. And so now you have this, and somehow in the cybersecurity world, I love saying it, we still accept the job. Exactly. Can you imagine that? Yeah. Like in the real, it's
exactly.
Like, oh, where do I sign? I love this job. Really? You know so little about what's happening, and yet you want to accept the job. So I'm spending my time accepting this job, looking at who's the neighbor, how often does the mailman come? I don't even know how many windows or doors do I have. Is somebody tunneling from underneath? So-called malicious insider. So our secret sauce is actionable visibility because the emphasis is about first understanding what you even have and getting a grasp of what you have and what those things do so that you can better think about security, really putting a plan in place to protect your assets.
And let me do an observation here. This is get visibility, understand how the company, the network works, is very complex because we are talking about amount of data that the security platform needs to handle, needs to deal with. So you have to know how many servers, how it works. When the mail comes, how many windows do you have? It's a challenge for the vendors, development and technology, be able to handle this amount of data.